Mulan is an agility-based ranger class hero from the Dimensional faction who specializes in dealing damage and also interrupting her enemies, and in today's video we're going to look at her skills and abilities, her teams and uses, and whether or not it's worth investing in this character, so let's get into it. Her ultimate ability is Rider's Wrath. When activated, she's going to enter cavalry mode and ride her steed across the battlefield. Now, when she rides through, any enemy hit will be briefly knocked up and take damage. Then she will ride her steed to the area with the most enemies and jump off, once again knocking them up and dealing more damage. Now, while she is in this mode, she is immune to damage and control effects, and she will also gain some healing per second while in cavalry mode. Next, we have Flashing Steel. For this one, she's going to deal damage 2 times to enemies in front of her, then teleport and deal damage 3 more times to the enemies, but this time it will knock the enemies airborne. On top of that, while she's using this ability, she will be immune to control effects and direct damage. However, the damage she would have taken will be calculated, and at the end of the ability, she will take damage equal to 50% of the mitigated damage. On top of that, she will also heal herself for 20% of the damage dealt during this ability. Formidable Fortress has an active portion and a passive portion. The active portion, she's going to fly kick enemies in front of her, dealing damage and also knocking them airborne. As for the passive portion, if she is about to receive damage that exceeds 10% of her max health or would reduce her to less than 10% health, she will parry the attack and deal damage to enemies in front of her. Parrying reduces the damage that she takes from the attack by 70%, and she can parry up to 4 times over the next 3 seconds after activation, after which it will have a cooldown of 12 seconds before it can be activated again. Her next ability is a passive Relentless Pursuit. For this one, whenever she knocks an enemy airborne, she hits them with a follow-up attack. Now, each follow-up attack will increase the damage of the next follow-up attack up to a maximum of 300%, and when at max stacks, she will do additional damage equal to 10% of the enemy's max HP, and if the enemy is a boss, she will still launch the follow-up attack even if she fails to knock them up with the abilities. Next up, we have her signature item skill, Defense to Offense. At base, if she parries a skill, any subsequent damage it deals to her will be reduced by 10%. At level 10, if she parries an attack with Formidable Fortress, the damage reduction from the parry will continue for 3 seconds. At level 20, the damage reduction from the base will be increased to 30%. And at 30, Mulan can also parry control effects that are about to be inflicted on her, and while parrying, she's completely immune to control effects. Her furniture ability is Press On. For this one, at level 3, while she's in cavalry mode and for 5 seconds after she exits cavalry mode, all allies will gain 20% attack and defense rating, however it cannot be stacked. Then at level 9, at the start of battle, she's going to enter cavalry mode and ride towards the enemy directly opposite her. She then leaps off her horse and exits the mode, damaging nearby enemies and also knocking them airborne in the same manner as her ultimate would do. Mulan has a great amount of control for her enemies and also a very high damage potential. She can be used as a control unit that can also deal most of the damage on your team, and she really excels once she reaches 9 furniture. Because she enters cavalry mode so quick, she's able to interrupt almost any ability that other characters have in the game before they get to activate them at the start of battle. So in this team, we have 4 dimensionals to make the most out of Albedo's buff that they receive. On top of that, we have Athalia. Now, Athalia is in this team to lock out the enemy Sophia from making her pyramid. Then in the top back, we have Mulan, who's there to interrupt Verk so he can't lay his poisons. So you can team up Mulan with other lockout enemies to really control the enemy team at the start of battle. Then we have both Merlin and Joan of Arc for the healing and sustain on the team. And then, as mentioned before, we have Albedo, who is there to provide the big buff to the dimensional heroes and opt as our second tank. So in this battle, at the very start of the battle, Athalia will lock out the enemy Sophia and Mulan will lock out the enemy Verk and stop them from setting up their very troublesome abilities at the very start of battle. From there, we operate on a lot of control and mitigation to lock out the enemy team and slowly wear them down and let Mulan do the bulk of the damage once she starts stacking up her follow attacks with all of her control effects. As for artifacts on Mulan, the number one choice is going to be Dual Divinity, just to the fact that she will battle on the enemy side of the field and it offers so much to her in the way of survivability and also damage. If you don't have it yet though, something like Jura's Eye can also be viable. So with all that out of the way, how far do we want to invest into Mulan? For her signature item, it's not a necessary thing, but if you are going to use her a lot in some of your main teams, then getting it up to 30 can be a good advancement. However, if you're still just testing her, level 10 or level 20 is perfectly fine for that phase. Her furniture, however, is where we have the first big requirement, and that is level 9. The reason being, her ability to interrupt enemies at the start of the battle is where she brings a lot of value to so many teams, and unlocking that with her 9 furniture is going to be very important to even use her as a sub-in unit just to lock out enemies. Her engravings are very similar to her signature item. They are nice to have. However, if you have other characters that have mandatory engravings, you're better off building those ones first. So that is going to be it for Mulan. She's a very strong dimensional damage dealer and control unit who can be used as your main carry, or can be used just to counter annoying enemies in certain fights. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys have an awesome day, and we'll look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.